Hey everyone, I wanted to show you some of my tips for window boxes. I think that some people find them intimidating because oftentimes they only look good for a few months and then they just kind of go to the wayside, and especially as it gets colder, they're just not as beautiful. So I wanted to show you something I've been working on for a friend. So this has been a work in progress, and I thought I'd share with you some of the ideas that we put together to make this a really magical little nook, even though it's small. So I'm gonna step back and give you a full view here. And if you have any questions, definitely chime in. So as you can see, it's a small apartment with a little seating area patio. And what we wanted to do is think about what would look beautiful year round. And to me, I always care not just about the visual, but also about scents and whether it has another use, for example, herbs. So what we did here is we started with this little trench that was originally full of just gray, boring gravel. And in that gravel, as you can see, we put creeping thyme. And the creeping thyme is beautiful. It actually has some purple flowers part of the year. So for quite a few months throughout the year, it'll get these beautiful purple flowers that'll even turn red toward the fall. And I just added a few more, as you can see. I started out wanting to see how they do. As you can see, batched beautifully and connect so that soon, once the rest of these connect, beautiful strip. And now this takes the Confederate men, which absolutely are. Just little by little, as you see a little piece stick out, back in. And it smells phenomenal, which is what I love about it particularly. Not only does it look beautiful, but it smells amazing. And this looks good year round. You won't have the flowers year round, but you'll keep the green for the most part. And as it gets thicker and more abundant, this whole fence will be covered in this beautiful scent and this beautiful green vine. So we've got our creeping thyme with the purple flowers, which also serves as an herb. It smells good. And then we've also got this beautiful Confederate jasmine, which smells beautiful. Next is one of my favorites. It's rosemary. And this is a certain type of rosemary that cascades over the window box. And as you can see, it gets these beautiful purple flowers, a pale purple, at certain times of year in the spring and typically the fall. And what I love is that this stays green year round. And so it will never look brown or dead. And that's a key thing with window boxes, to have them looking bright and beautiful year round. And of course, what's so great about it is that it has a second purpose, which is that you can cook with it. So it smells wonderful, it looks green year round, and you can cook with it, which I love. Then we've got this, what's called a giant snowflake. Now, this does not last year round. This you have to replant. So the key here is to mix and match. You've got some things that are good year round and some things that you can fill in when the weather gets nicer. This is gonna get larger pretty soon. It's gonna start to cascade over and meet this rosemary, and it's gonna become white and full. It's called Giant Snowflake. They sell it at Home Depot, any kind of gardening nursery. It's a really common and easy to find. You can see another one over on this side, starting to get bigger and grow. And I had these last year here, and it was really full and white, and it looked phenomenal. And that just adds a nice, abundant look. And it lasts about 9 months in a lot of climates. So it's only about the coldest times of year that it's going to really probably die on you, and you'll have to replant in the spring. But it grows very fast, which I love. The Latin name, I believe, is Bacopa, but you'll find it as Giant Snowflake online at nurseries, and I highly recommend it. It grows really quickly. Another thing that I planted here is Verbena. I planted it in a bright pink color and a white color. And that's gonna get really tall and full and cascade over just a little bit as well. And that just adds a fun pop of color. The ones that I'm planting annually, I want them to grow quickly and be abundant, and they're specifically designed for planter boxes and window boxes. That's about to cascade over, so we'll have the rosemary, the full white snowflake hanging over, and the verbena full and hanging over. So we've got our flowers here, we've got flowers here, we've got flowers here, And then the scents between the jasmine and the rosemary and even the thyme is really special. Another little tip or trick is that if you're trying to create a real screen, you can use a different type of rosemary, the kind that goes upward rather than cascades over. That's what I've done here to create a blockage so that it creates some real privacy. And then I've also added ivy. I'm a huge fan of ivy in all of its forms. This has gotten really thick and beautiful, and I have it on the interior of this little patio as well, which I'll show you in a minute, because ivy likes partial shade. If it gets too much sun, it can get burned. So it tends to thrive better in full and partial shade. And you also want to think about that. You know, what does well in full sun, what does well in partial shade. For example, this is a full sun side, and over here is a partial shade side. So I had to think about that strategically. These things I knew would do very well in full sun, whereas the ivy prefers partial shade. Here I've got a rose bush that's about to explode, and a nice, beautiful, bright boxwood as well. I'll show you really easily and quickly here how the ivy has cascaded over in a beautiful way. And as you can see, this is just a simple apartment building, simple apartment. And you would think that you were in a little oasis because of how romantic it feels with the ivy. Now, interestingly, to show you how things do in different sunlights, this side, like I said, is full sun, and this ivy has not gotten quite as full. It's done okay, but it's not quite as full. What's great is that the rosemary, though, is going to cascade down here. But over here where it's partial shade, it's absolutely exploded, which is gorgeous. And that rosemary creates a perfect screen. So I want this to give you some inspiration. These are simple window boxes, which I got from one of those big box stores like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or anywhere similar, and I used some brackets to secure it. I've got the jasmine weaving on the inside, and it's a beautiful place to sit and relax and smell and enjoy. I also have one more little trick I'll show you, are these fun wooden tiles that click together, and really my little secret here is that they're from IKEA and they are not expensive, and it can make a really basic, simple cement patio look really, really beautiful and finished out. So I hope that gives you a little inspiration as you think about your decorating and your window boxes. You want to create something for yourself that looks good all year round, and with a little water and a love and attention can really make you feel like you have a romantic, cozy nook, no matter what your space constraints are. And that's what it's all about, doing the best with what you have and enjoying it in the process. I'd love to hear your comments. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more tips like this. All you do is hit the subscribe button, and you'll get all kinds of recipes and modern pioneer skills, outdoor skills, and gardening tips like this. And I'd love to hear from you, so be sure to post your questions below and I'll answer them. Cheers, guys, and happy gardening.